Okay, perfect. Okay. All right, so we'll go ahead and we'll do like a brief introduction and just for the new folks, and so we can see who's here with us. And we got a few new people. They'll just come in. So I'll start. So I'm Johanna Rasmussen, and I am the chairwoman of the association. And I was asked about 2.5 years ago. At the time, Mayor Ian Baines said, asked if I would be willing to step up, and they got a call. Okay. So he asked if I would step up and be the chairperson. So I said yes. So since that time, we've been building, and now we've got a website and we do all kinds of great things. So I'm happy to have everybody here. And I'm gonna pass it over to Chris. You want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure, I got the sun right in my face. Chris Rasmussen, retired police officer, Redwood City Police for 30 years. And now I'm a commissioner for the San Mateo County Mental Health and Substance Abuse Recovery Commission, and doing all kinds of things and trying to play golf a lot. That's it.
All right, who's next? On my screen, I see James.
Let me get myself off mute. So James Stafford, my wife Leslie, who's actually driving right now, so she's listening on her phone. That's Leslie. And so both of us, we live on Farm Hill Boulevard. So we've lived here for about 8 years in the location. We've been in Redwood City for over 20. And so yeah, we've been part of the homeowners association here when you started it back up, Johanna. I think a few years ago. So we've been an active part of that. So yeah.
Oh, thank you very much. All right, who wants to go next?
I can go.
Okay, go ahead, TK.
Great. Yes. So hello, everyone. My name is Terrence Joe. I'm a director of public works. I'm with the city for a little over 29 years. So this department handle water service, sewer service, right away. Right away is everything that what you see on the ground: street, sidewalk, tree, street lights, traffic signal. So this is all under public works, and I'm going to talk about things about public works this evening. So thank you.
Thank you. How about Sharon? Sharon and Steve.
Okay, we live on Altamont Way, and I've lived in Redwood City since 1982. Steve has lived here, well,
Good portion.
yeah, a good portion since he was like 5 years old.
Oh.
And I guess that's it.
All right, thank you. And how about Harriet?
So I lived on Skyline for 33 years, but my kids went to Woodside High. And I have lived in this area on Mohican for the last 5 years.
Great, welcome. And Keith?
My name is Keith Blackie. I'm an incurable volunteer. Normally, when we have our meetings on Thursday, unfortunately, I have a conflicting scout meeting, and it's nice to be able to join you now. And when you have a break in the action, I'll tell the greatest golf story ever.
All right, well, it's nice to have you here, Keith. Gerd?
Yeah, also part of the neighborhood. I think we live here probably 12 years now, I think. Just off Farm Hill on Brandy Rock, next to Susaf Park, and we love it here.
That's great. And Tommy?
Hi, Tommy Sarnio. I live about a block away from Johanna and Chris on this little road called Cheshire Way. It's close to Alameda and Jefferson. And we've lived here now for 14 years and in Redwood City for a total of maybe 16.
That's great. Thank you, Tommy. And Rob?
Yeah, hi, Rob Lyon and Kat Wolfing, my wife. We live on Altamont Way, have been here almost 11 years now.
Leslie, I know you're driving, so if you're able to introduce yourself, if not, that's fine. Okay, so we'll go on to Jay Perry.
Hi, I've lived in the area for just about a year and a half now, so pretty new, but I've lived in the area a few times in my life, so I keep moving and coming back.
Well, we're happy to have you. Thank you so much for being here. All right, so we'll go ahead and get started. It looked like Mike had a call, busy every evening. And so we'll go ahead and get started with TK. He's going to talk to us tonight about the reimagined sidewalk repair program and a proposal that's on the agenda on Monday night's council meeting regarding sewer charges and property tax. And he'll be answering all questions related to public work. So thank you for being here, TK. And go ahead.
Hey, TK, you're on mute. There you go.
Thank you. Thank you. So that's a typical Zoom etiquette, right? We always say you're on mute. So thank you, Joanna and the Farm Hill Neighborhood Association. This is a great opportunity for us to reach out to the community and just wanted to share. So can you all see my presentation here? Okay, great. Thank you. So first item that I just want to talk about is the sidewalk repair program that City of Redwood City is providing. Some of you may already know, but I just wanted to go quickly go through the background of the program and the type of repair that we do, and then the current sidewalk repair program that city is providing to the community. And then we're going to shift gear to the reimagining this current sidewalk program to meet the community needs. And then go by the followed by the question and answer and feedback from the community. So just a little bit of quick background. City of Redwood City has over 300 miles of sidewalks, by state of California and the muni codes. And the care and maintenance of the sidewalk is a responsibility of the abutting property owner. However, city is committed to promote safe and pedestrian-friendly sidewalks, so that city always participate in the sidewalk replacement program throughout my time with the City of Redwood City, as far as I know. That we have a two type of program. One is we call it 100% replacement program. Those are the program that you will see on the middle field road that like road dieting, and then this is total reconstruction, and the property owner don't have to worry about it. City will pay everything because this is a large capital improvement project. However, some of the small section in front of your house, about tree roots or whatever that might have, it lift the sidewalk up, and all sidewalk getting old and cracked and spoiled. And then those are the situations that city come in and participate with the property owner for 50-50 cost sharing sidewalk program. So as I mentioned, program been around for quite some time. If you have a sidewalk offset in front of your house, you can call Public Works or they report it through my RWC website. We will immediately come in and address the issue. We will either grind down the lifting area or they ramp it up with the asphalt for what we call is temporary repair. So that's immediately reduce the risk of someone trip and fall, or someone with the wheelchair or the baby stroller can continue safely using the sidewalk. On certain situation, like image showing here, the sidewalk is beyond a repair. You will probably notice that it had a repair several times, but now come to the point that it totally need to be repaired. That's where our 50-50 sidewalk cost sharing sidewalk replacement program comes in. So program, as I mentioned, 50-50 split it between property owner and the city. So the city responsibility is the actual sidewalk portion of it. The property owner will have to pay for the driveway approach, that little ramp that cut off from the curb to reach your driveway. Private sidewalks are not covered, or also some of those ornate concrete, like stand concrete, or some of the paver. That type of sidewalk will not be covered the program. If and when you have a curb and gutter, that the section that abutting to the street need to be repaired. Those are the most expensive part of the sidewalk replacement, and those will be covered by the city, and property owner don't have to pay for it. So those are just so you know. And this program is available to all single family residents. It's not covered for the commercial, not covered for the multifamily dwelling, not covered for the HOAs, things like that. So some of the majority of Redwood Shore, for example, is not covered by this program because they do have a HOA that's running this maintenance program. So, as I mentioned, this program, the cost is contribute 50% of the city and 50% from the property owner. We are aware of that, even though, city of Redwood City, most of the homes are over $1 million, but some residents are house rich, like a checkbook poor, like someone with a limited income or someone living through the Social Security. We like to assist because we want to make sure that the sidewalk is being taken care of. And the biggest barrier to people to join in this program is that the cost. Even though city contributing 50%, sometimes costs could be as high as $3,000 to $4,000, maybe even $6,000, $7,000 some cases, because if you're on the corner street, a corner house, and you have a sidewalk on both sides, and that could become costly. So we are thinking of a sliding scale type cost. So depending upon how much money you are making, you may not contribute 50%. You may only contribute 40%, or maybe even 30%. And we can even go down to the 20% so that the property owner still can afford it. So what kind of methodology we are going to use is the San Mateo County median income that put out by the San Mateo County every year. So that you are below the median income threshold, and then depending on how below the threshold, it could be 40, 30 to 20% program. And also we are aware of that it is difficult for someone to pay all the total costs at the one shot. Write a check for $2,000, $3,000 is not easy for some people. So we are thinking of the installment payment program. That no interest, we will come up with 24 months payment plan or the 30 months payment plan that the property owner will pay for their portion of the cost. Another thing that we are thinking of is a promissory notes. So that even though 20% I cannot afford, even though I can't afford installment payment plan, we will put it on the promissory note that on your title, stating that if and when this property is changed ownership, the property owner is promised to pay back the cost of their portion of the cost with no interest. So that this kind of promissory note will stay on your title until the property change hands. These are all the options that we are thinking of it. And I just wanted to reach out to the community and give a feedback from the community. Also, we are thinking of it's if part of the real estate transaction, city will require to look into the sidewalk and then repair it, whatever necessary before the property ownership change. So that this day, the property ownership change on the city going to be the $1 million transaction, $1 million above transaction. We believe that that transition can handle the sidewalk replacement. So these are the kind of general idea that we are thinking of it, and I just wanted to open up for any feedback from the community. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate your presentation. I will now ask anyone who would like to ask a question, if you could raise your hand. And let me see here. We've got a lot of folks on, so I'm hoping I'm not going to miss anybody. Okay. So I don't see any hands. So I had a couple questions. Could you tell us, do you know what the median income is for San Mateo County?
I believe at this point is don't quote me. Last time I checked, it was $62,000.
62,000?
Yes.
Okay, I know back when we created the first time homebuyer program, the city used they used 120% of median income because the majority, for many people, the majority of their income goes towards housing. I know Chris and I, when we looked into doing sidewalk repair, Chris was always the breadwinner in our family. I didn't work outside the home, but we couldn't afford to pay the sidewalk. So they came down, they grinded it down and made it safe. But so I'm very pleased to hear that there's going to be a sliding scale, based upon folks' their ability to pay. And when you mentioned that some of these repairs could be up to $7,000, is that total or is that the homeowner's share?
Homeowner shares. Because some of those homes that
Oh,
corner
wow.
house with a really, really long sidewalk and sidewalk is totally destroyed. I've seen, this is a worst case scenario that I may want to mention. But majority of the property owner that participate in the 50-50 program is like about $1,500 to $2,000 this year.
Thank you so much. Go ahead, James.
Take myself off mute. Yeah, so I like what you have up here. I like the idea of obviously having a sliding scale, the installment plan. I think that's in line with what other kind of home repairs and stuff people are offering, kind of an installment plan. I think that would make it more attractive. I do like the idea of having it if it's tied to the property. So if somebody's selling it, they're not giving the next property owner the problem with the sidewalk, right, that they have to address. The question I have would there be something where the city would come out and make an assessment of that? Because is it a temporary repair or is it a full replacement? Would that be part of what gets added to the property? So that when it gets if it does get sold or when property gets sold, there has to be that repair or replacement done. I think probably a lot of people who are ready to sell, they're going to opt for the temporary repair just to get out of under that. But there might be some underlying issues like tree roots and stuff that are just going to pop up later for the new homeowner. And so that I think would be unfortunate for a new homeowner then to be saddled with something maybe 2 years into their new home purchase. So I would maybe ask would there be an assessment done so that it would either, if it's really bad, they're going to have a replacement requirement in there, or if it's not so bad, they would have a repair, just so that people, the new homeowner knows what it isn't just kind of random and it's just up for the next person to figure out. So that's that. And then the question I have too around just the repairs would be around the tree roots. I know I've walked through a bunch of Redwood City where that the tree roots are the main culprit in the sidewalk issues. And so sometimes in the act of trying to do that, you end up killing all the roots, which then kills the tree, which then now you have a tree replacement on top of a sidewalk replacement, which unfortunately my yard, I had several of those happen where I've had to cut down several trees because they've died. So have you considered that, where kind of the unintended consequences of repair might also be additional landscaping work?
Right. Yeah, James, those are the good questions and also a great comment. Thank you. Yes, we are totally aware of the 99.9% of the sidewalk issues are caused by the tree, either from the property owner side or the city right-of-way tree. As you know, some trees are not meant to be in this area. We are in almost like semi-desert area, and throughout the history, people planted magnolia tree. Magnolia trees are like one of the water-thirsty southern state, native tree that bring it into this area, so that they're always chasing for water. So the near the water source is the lawn and the other side of the sidewalk, and then they go underneath and then they kind of lift the sidewalks up. You obviously see a lot of in the Farm Hill as well as Edgewood and also Mount Carmel neighborhood. You will see a lot of those things. So this is kind of like, but then again, a lot of people love those magnolia trees and they don't want to take it down. So our job is to try to preserve the tree as much as possible. And you will see sometimes the sidewalk is kind of like bent around the tree to give a tree a little bit more room for tree roots to grow instead of cutting it down. Every tree before we cut down, we did what we call it the wind load test. After we have to cut down the tree roots, we remove the tree roots so that sidewalk can properly install. And then we do the wind load test to make sure that tree stays safe after the tree roots are being taken down. If it is safe, and we will keep the tree in place. Again, like sometimes you probably see that rubber sidewalk and some of the neighborhood that you jump on it and the bouncy sidewalks. Those are the kind of like one point we try to install the rubber sidewalk to preserve the tree as a whole reason. But as time progresses, rubber sidewalks are becoming like a kind of mushier, and then sometimes people with a baby stroller and then they're jogging around, they suddenly get immediate brakes on it. They wonder what is going on, and then those people don't have a good feeling about that. So we are replacing those rubber sidewalks free of charge because the city tried it out in a year past. So the city take full responsible for those rubber sidewalks. And even when you see someplace that rubber sidewalk that is make you iffy feeling on the walk over, please let us know. We will replace it for free.
Tommy, did you have a question?
Well, actually, it was just answered. I was just curious about exactly those rubber sidewalks. What was the experience? I have had neither positive or negative experience with them. I walk across them without any difficulty, but just when I was curious about what was the experiment, but sounds like it wasn't all positive.
Right. Yeah, thank you. So biggest issue with rubber sidewalk is a baby stroller and the person with a wheelchair. Because of the friction, they are riding on the solid concrete sidewalk, and they have like a sudden speed that they are going, and then suddenly they hit the rubber sidewalk portion of the rubber sidewalk, and then they immediately feel like the friction is increased, and then they are kind of like their wheel is slowed down dramatically, and we give them a settled feeling about that. So most of the complaint that we receive people with a wheelchair, and then baby stroller. Some people run with a baby stroller, jogging with a baby stroller, and then they suddenly feel like they almost lifted up the baby stroller because they hit the rubber sidewalk spot because of that whole reason. And then we have two types of rubber sidewalk. One is we call it tile, like a piece of tile that put together, and then some are like pouring just like a concrete, so that the tiles when they get old and they cupping, their edges are lifted up, and that's create a major tripping hazard. But the continuous pouring sidewalk, their issue is as time progress, rubber getting old and kind of getting mushy.
Thank you very much. TK, would you like to? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I had actually 2 questions. This is Rob. For one, is there a timeline on replacing all those rubber sidewalk sections? Because I feel like I heard the same conversation from someone at the city about 4 or 5 years ago, and I guess they're still out there.
Yes. So just so you know, we have over 2,000 locations of the rubber sidewalks. We've been replacing somewhere around like 300 to 500 sidewalks, those locations per year, because this is kind of like a part of the sidewalk replacement program, so that we have like a 50-50 program, 100% replacement program, and then go back to the rubber sidewalk program. So we are getting there. I know that we have quite a bit of sidewalks that remain, but compared with 3 years ago or so, we are greatly improved in the number of rubber sidewalk throughout the city.
Yeah, okay, that's great. And then the other question I had is, what kind of specific targeted outreach does the city do to property owners or residents, who do have damaged, sections of sidewalk, but, may not be aware of this program or attending meetings like this, but, clearly know their address in general. Does the city do outreach to property owners like that?
Yes, we do. So if it is someone reported about offset sidewalks or the trip and fall hazard, we will go out there immediately address that issue by grinding or the ramping. And as soon as we're done with it, we put a door hanger on the door or the notification through the mail to the property owner about informing about the program. So sometimes, property owner respond and sometimes they're not. So this is kind of like depend upon the willingness or participation from the property owner, not like the enforcement type of program.
Okay, thanks.
Sure.
Thank you, Rob. So Terrence, TK, would you like to go into the sewer,
Absolutely.
the property tax and sewer? Thank
Sure,
you.
Thank you. So I'm going to share another screen with this group. So this is another part of the public works, and the public works handle water, sewer, and solid waste. Solid waste and garbage. So that those are the three enterprises that we manage. And currently, your water bill, sewer bill, and the solid waste bill, all three of them are all together as a city send you a utility bill. So from those three bills, the water is kind of like volumetric charge, depending upon how much you consume. So that always vary, so that we can't really do much on that part. And same as a solid waste, garbage. Sometimes people subscribe bigger can. Sometimes people reduce a can based on the change on the inside the household. But for the sewer, sanitary sewer, the rate is fixed for the single family resident throughout the city, regardless. So we are trying to look into getting efficiency on the process and procedure. And we are planning to transfer single family resident sewer bill into the property tax, so that 99% of the city throughout the area, their sewer bill is billed through property tax instead of the utility bill that you are currently receiving. So at this point, we are working through the legal process through transferring the sewer bill from the utility bill to the property tax roll. So if council approve on our proposal on June 2021, starting July 1st, 2021, your utility bill, you will see the reduced amount of minus sewer bill. So you will not get sewer charge. Your sewer bill will be charged through your property tax, and most of the people do. You will pay the property tax twice a year, along with the sewer bill. So this is a process that we are doing. That in front of you is a timeline that we are currently doing. We already went through the city council for the introduction of the sewer ordinance change on April 2021. On the next Monday is the second reading on the ordinance, so that we now have a capacity to charge, ability to charge through the property tax roll. On June, we will take it back to the council again to explain, here are the addresses that we are transferring from the utility bill to the property tax. And if council approve, starting, as I mentioned, July 1st, that you will see reduction of the sewer bill from the utility bill, but you will see a combination of the same bill in your property tax. You will not see the rate increase, but except we are in the 3-year rate increase period. So in 2019, council approved 4.5% rate increase for 3 consecutive years. So we are the last year of July 1st, 2021, you will see 4.5% rate increase on sewer bill. That is nothing to do with the rate, the sewer charge transferring to the property tax. So I just wanted to reach out to the community, and all the information, any question you might have, I'm here to answer. Also on the city website, we put a bunch of FAQ on there so that you can take a look at it. And if you still have a question, feel free to email me or to call me. I'm available to answer or respond to your questions.
TK, would it be okay to answer? We have 2 questions right now. I know we're a
Sure.
little bit over.
Sure.
Would it be okay?
Absolutely.
All right. Connie?
I was just I'm sorry, what was the rationale for this one again? I'm just curious. It seems like for those of us who own our property and live there, it's pretty much the same thing. It's just one vehicle or the other. What's the rationale here?
Okay, so it's basically a two issue. It is like efficiency, so that city staff don't need to keep tracking on the sewer bill 12 months a year. They only have to compile it once a year and then give it to San Mateo County, and the county assessor will send you a bill instead of us doing it. So that's one. Number two is San Mateo County is the plan, they call it TDR plan. TDR plan is San Mateo County Assessor Office guarantee for us to remittance that we send it to them, and then they guarantee to pay us. However, some people may delinquent on the property tax, their own property tax, and then San Mateo County Assessor Office will work with that particular property owner to get the the property tax pay along with the sewer bill. And the city don't have to do the work with a collection agency and collecting for the unpaid sewer bill. And that is a kind of like a major revenue loss part of our sewer enterprise. The reason being is the sewer bill is a delinquent, and then also water bill delinquent, and then garbage bill delinquent. Next thing you know, we have to go through this collection process, and then lengthy and then costly for the city, so that we try to mitigate the risk of the sewer enterprise to making sure that the service that we provide and we can collect it in a timely manner.
I don't really get it. Seems like you would have to go through all of that for the water service anyway. So what's the difference between if you need to deal with delinquencies for water bill or water bill and sewer bill? I just don't get it. Sort of the complexity. That's okay. It's not really that important that I don't need to know it more in detail. But I just don't get it yet.
So during announcements, we're gonna come back to this issue so we can talk about it a little bit more. But James, I see that James and Leslie, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I mean, I can save it for later if we want to talk about it, but I think the same questions that Tommy had, I had, and just reason behind it. The other thing is that if it gets transferred to the property tax, does that allow the homeowner to deduct that from their taxes? Is that the incentive part of it? So I'm just wondering if that was one of the reasons behind it. I would say that would benefit the property owners. It would not benefit the renters. So there would be so it would be a little bit of a different kind of animal there. But anyways, I'll save it later. You don't have to answer it now. I know we want to get to something else.
Do you know the answer off the top of your head, TK, if it's deductible or not?
In reality, the sewer bills are not deductible. So in your property tax, the only portion of the assessment of your property tax are the only portion that you can deduct. So right now, just we are in the the job tax cut era. President Trump enacted on the 2018 until 2025. This program will run. So the property owner can only deduct up to $10,000 total at your tax return. But after that, 2025, we will go back to the regular deduction program. And the property, if it is more homes are like over $1 million, they should be able to deduct the entire amount of their property tax.
Thank you so much. TK, I really appreciate you being with us. I know that you work really hard to keep our city running, and we're really grateful for everything you do for us. 29 years is a long time, and we're very, very grateful. So thank you, and we appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
So you're very welcome. All right. So next up on our agenda is Mike Leahy. Mike is a firefighter here in Redwood City. And he's going to talk to us about wildfires, about ways we can keep our families safe, and what's happening down at the firehouse. So welcome, Mike. I'm glad that your call finished and you're able to join us. I know it's been super busy.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. This is my first association meeting. It's a pleasure, and I hope it's the first of many. I'm sure you guys have a lot of questions, so I'll keep my introduction safe. I'll keep my introduction small and give you guys enough time for some Q&A. So again, my name is Michael Leahy. I've been a firefighter in Redwood City for about 10 years. I'm assigned to Station 10, which is on the corner of Jefferson and Myrtle. The two engines assigned to your neighborhood association would be Engine 12, which is on Farm Hill. We call that the Treehouse Station, and our station. So you guys are my responding district. Before this, I was a volunteer firefighter for about 5 years, and I worked on the 911 ambulance in Santa Clara County for an additional 5 years. So I've been doing a total of about 16 years now. So it's been a long journey. A little bit about me. I'm 33 years old. I have married, just had a baby this year who's 8 months old, baby Gio. I wish more people warned me that my life would have changed when I had a kid. I feel like not many people warned me enough, and I'm experiencing it firsthand. So I just want to give you a little introduction. Not many people know about the fire department and how it works. So Redwood City has a total of 7 firehouses. Each firehouse has a fire engine, which is staffed with 1 captain, 1 firefighter, and 1 firefighter paramedic. The only difference is Station 9 has an additional fire apparatus, which we call a fire truck, which is staffed with an additional 4 people, and they are in charge of vehicle accident, the jaws of life, the chainsaws. They're like a Home Depot on wheels that respond to any type of emergencies that requires more than medical equipment and hose. So they're very well utilized. Every fire department has 1 or 2 trucks, depending on the size and the layout of that city. For us, we have Truck 9, which is the downtown station. All our fire apparatus have paramedics on them who are trained to a true Class 1 stature. To give you guys an idea, when you call 911, the paramedics on the fire engine have all the equipment and all the training that an emergency room would do in the first hour if you went to an emergency room. So the idea is that we have all the modalities and treatments that the emergency room has. So if somebody, let's say, goes into cardiac arrest, we can begin doing the same treatment that the hospital would do within that first hour. Obviously, minus, the big CT scans and the ultrasounds. But when it comes to emergency medicine and it comes to all the modalities, we have the same equipment. That being said, we have 5 firehouses in Redwood City proper, 1 in Redwood Shores for the 5th, and then we have 2 fire stations in San Carlos, Station 13 and 16. All our fire engines are designed to respond to your house within an average of about 4.5 minutes, 4 minutes. We typically are by the time dispatch tones us down, we're out the door in about 59 seconds is our average runtime, and we're at your house within 4 minutes. The reason behind that is studies have shown that if someone was to go into cardiac arrest, which other than a fire is probably the most severe call we go to, your brain starts to lose about 10% a minute of being able to come back to full function after that 4 minutes. So if we can reach you before those 4 minutes and start some type of cardiac treatment, your ability to survive that cardiac event goes up tremendously. So that's our goal, is to be at your house within 4 minutes by the time you pick up. So that's a little bit introduction about me, a little introduction about Redwood City Fire Department. Does anybody have any questions about that before I move on to some other things? There's a lot of information there, and a lot of it may be new.
I don't see any hands. I think that's remarkable. I didn't realize the number of I'm losing my words here, but I didn't realize how critical those moments were. When I think about responding for the fire department, I think about my house burning, but I didn't think of it in terms of saving your life. And so thank you for sharing that. Leslie.
Right, and so
and
James. Depending on the call, so if somebody were to call in for a routine medical, you get one fire engine. If someone was to go into cardiac or respiratory arrest, you get 2 fire engines. So you can see it's very critical where these fire stations are placed so they can all be on scene within a matter of time. For traffic accidents, you actually get a fire engine, a fire truck, a battalion. A battalion chief is kind of like our boss. They oversee the incidents on the day-to-day. And then if we go to any type of structure fire or smoke from a building, you know, which daily, you get up to 5 fire engines. So if you can imagine, just yesterday morning, we had a structure fire on the corner of Middlefield and Woodside Road at the U-Haul self-storage. 5 fire engines went to that one truck in one BC. So one first alarm fire in Redwood City wiped out the entire fire department for the city. So what happens is anybody who calls 911 for, let's say, a medical call is now waiting for other fire engines from other agencies to move up and cover our area. So it's a very intricate process how dispatch works, but you can imagine how many resources get pulled on a second alarm. We've had multiple second alarm fires in the last week. It's up to 50 firefighters. We only have 27 firefighters on duty a day. So now we're pulling resources from Menlo Park, Woodside, San Mateo, and then those agencies have to get backfilled. I mean, it's a pretty crazy process. We went to the Woodside Road fire. I was in the 5-alarm fire. I was in the hallway, and the captain next to me was the captain of Half Moon Bay Fire Department. He had traversed all the way down here to be a part of that fire. So it's a very complex process.
Wow, that's something. Leslie and James?
Yeah, you might go over it, Mike, so I don't want to steal your thunder, but with the fire season coming up, are you looking at repositioning some of the fire trucks to certain areas that may be kind of more impacted immediately by, say, wildfires?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the way it works is we have, all our fire engines have the equipment and all our people on the equipment. I have a full bag ready to go that has toiletries, closed for 5 days. So I can be deployed at any time to a wildfire. That's locally here. So anything in San Mateo, Santa Clara, we get pulled in as if it was just a routine fire and they just kept calling for more people, for more people. We have 2 engines that are dedicated strike team wildland engines. That's engine 12, which is Farm Hill Neighborhood Association's main engine. So your engine up there at 3700 Jefferson is a wildland engine. So if there's ever a wildfire state response, they would respond as a part of that strike team to, let's say, Humboldt, Redding, Los Angeles, Orange County, and we would backfill. In regards to upstaffing, we currently do not have the staffing to upstaff during fire season like other agencies do. And that's a whole nother subject, but rest assured, CAL FIRE and their state response models are just in our backyard. So if there's ever a wildland fire, we have resources piling in within minutes for that situation. And you segued right into my next subject, wildfire danger. So
Mike, Mike, if I could just hear it for just a second. I have one more hand up. It's Jay Perry.
Hi, thank you. I just wanted to ask, are you still being impacted by COVID regarding the medical response that you do for fire? I mean, for the fire department?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So obviously the COVID-19 pandemic was something that we were battling from day one without very much experience. And we've learned through the process how to be more efficient and produce a better response product. So right now, our dispatch center, when they receive a 911 phone call, they go through a series of questions that basically screen somebody COVID symptom positive or COVID symptom negative. And it gives us the opportunity to kind of prepare our mindset and prepare ourselves as we enter that process. We now wear full PPE, mask, gloves, eye protection. We have Tyvek suits. We have full rain gear, protective outer layer clothing when we respond. I would say when the pandemic first started during COVID, the first 3 months, we didn't run a lot of calls. And I think we didn't run a lot of calls because people were scared to leave their house. People were scared to go to the emergency room, right? There was this real unprecedented fear that we noticed reflect in our call volume numbers. They went down for about 3 months. And then I think as people got more comfortable and people started going out more and getting a little bit more daring, our call volume shot way up. And we were putting on these COVID-19 Tyvek suits 10 to 15 times a day, just engine 10 alone. And it's kind of stayed steady until the point where vaccination started, and the amount of COVID patients we're seeing is starting to die down. However, the fire department, now that the COVID, I would say the number of patients we're seeing is dying down, we have now basically implemented and filled that gap with vaccination. So today, Engine 11 was participating in some community vaccinations. A couple of weeks ago, we went down to North Fair Oaks and we vaccinated 800 people. So we are definitely impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. But I would say that the way we're impacted is definitely changing from a response model to a preventative model. And now we're kind of in a little bit of both.
Thank you so much for doing that. Everything, vaccinating, all of that. Okay, so let's get into wildfires.
Right. So it's here. You know, it's since I've been in the fire service, it's funny. Like when I first started, I even when I was a volunteer firefighter, going on these big fires that we see that are taking out communities of homes, like I never remember that happening. And I don't know if it's in a combination of climate change and a combination of, you know, the economy, but we're now seeing these aggressive fires that just wipe through communities. Like, you know, for us, it would be the Farm Hill neighborhood. For St. Carlos, it would be Devonshire Canyon. I was at Santa Rosa, you know, when we were sleeping at the firehouse and the Santa Rosa fire broke out. And I remember just the glow in the sky as you're responding. And by the time we get out there, I mean, all you see is chimneys and, you know, street signs. It's a tragedy. And what we're noticing now is the fires are getting closer and closer to us. I mean, just last year, the CCU complex, you know, that was right in our backyard. And for us to, I mean, it was so close to our backyards that we had crews exchanging every day so they can go home and be with their families. And that's something that we don't do. So typically when we go on a wildfire as a fire department, we're deployed for 16 to 21 days, and then we rotate out. That's just a little side note. So for us, so you guys know, this year they're expecting this to be the most dangerous fire season we've seen yet in the past decade. The reason being is we're in a 2-year drought. I was just looking up some numbers before I got here. Since January 1, California has had 2,000 wildfires already. We've burned about 20 square miles so far, which isn't a lot. We've been in the wintertime. But to give you an example, by this time last year, we had only burned 3 square miles, and we're at 20 right now. And we've doubled the amount of fires we've had since January 1. You know, so it's a pretty significant amount increase in fires. And again, it's the drought. I mean, I was looking up statistics today. They said that 93% of California right now is in severe fire conditions based on drought. 98% is in moderate, and 76% is extreme fire drought behavior. Last week, it was 40%. So we doubled it in a week. So it's here. And I think more than ever, I think it's important that communities that are surrounded by a little bit more wildland urban interface really prepare yourselves for it, right? emergency home kits, right? Something that you could charge your batteries of your cell phones in your car. Maybe water, food, if you have pets, food, things for that nature for up to 3 days, right? Have a conversation with your family. If you have kids who are driving now, if they're at school, where are they going to meet you? Maybe you have relatives that live, you know, somewhere in the flats, or maybe you have family that's down the hill. You know, having maybe 2 ways of exiting, right? We all know that if you get in the Farnell neighborhood and you're going up Jefferson and you're going around the pond and there's only one way in, one way out, you know, so make sure you have a good emergency plan. I would also do some really good self-care of your own personal property. You know, vegetation, right? We like to see 100 feet of vegetation that's pretty cleaned up around your house. You know, if you have a lot of trees that are hanging over your roof, if you have chimneys that are kind of, you know, within 10 feet of, you know, canopies of trees, right? Anything that could increase your ability to sustain a fire that could cause some type of wildfire. This is the time to make sure we mitigate it. It's almost like wintertime with your windshield, with your car wipers, right? When it's first rain, you realize, oh, I really got to change my windshield wipers. This is kind of the time right now to really take a look at your property. Are you protected? And is your family protected in that nature? It is going to be a severe drought. We are expecting engine 12 and engine 16 to be deployed about 3 or 4 times this year to wildfires. So they'll be gone throughout the summer, but we'll be backfilling them with apparatus. So, you know, have no fear. Our goal is to make sure that someone is always at that firehouse when you call 911.
So, Jay Perry, do you have a new question, or is your hand up from last time?
I'm sorry, I just had one.
Oh, no worries.
Are there any programs available to, you know, help either assess your property for, you know, clearing out some stuff, and also for like removing larger things? Because I know, you know, some of these houses, the people who own them are elderly, and it's not easy for them to remove some of this stuff. So is there anything that you know that's in place?
Yeah, so there's always going to be private entities that will do it for profit, who you can call up and say, hey, you know, I'm curious if my property is good. They'll probably charge you an assessment fee, and they'll probably guide you on, you know, different services, tree trimmer, blah, 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 to mitigate. However, the Redwood City webpage for the fire department has multiple resources on wildland urban interface criteria that, as you as a homeowner, can look at and be like, okay, do I have this? Check. Do I have a propane tank that's, you know, 50 feet away from my house? Check. And what I can do is I can provide Joanna with a bunch of resources when we get done with the Zoom call that maybe she can pass out to the neighborhood. And you can always call the fire department, right? Give a call, be like, hey, I have a real concern about a safety check, and we'll be right out there.
Thank you.
Mike. I see Harriet, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I was wondering what kind of alert system is there in case of a fire? Because a few years ago, I was talking to Denise Anea, and she was saying, you know, if there's a grass fire on the other side of 280 and it jumps the freeway, it's just going to sweep over this hill.
Right, right. So there is something called the SMC Alert that the county does, and it's an alerting system that you can register for. It's great. I like to have a backup. There's apps you can use. So there's an app that I think every resident should have. It's called Pulse Point, like a pulse and point. And it's a free app. And basically you put in the agency you want to follow. And what happens is when those agencies go on calls, it'll pop up. So you'll see you'll be able to see that, oh, look, engine 10's on a medical or this. But what's nice about it is you can set it for alerts. So if there's a wildfire, if there's a water rescue, if there's a structure fire in your city, it will actually send you a text and you'll be able to know if it goes to a second, a third, a fourth alarm.
And Chris just dropped those in the chat for us. So the link to the alert and the pulse point, and there's also another document in there that he dropped in. Terrence.
Yes, thank you, Johanna. Yeah, so I just wanted to add on a little bit about the fire hazard mitigation. Just so the community know that City Council approved $400,000 in last 2 years for fire hazard mitigation at the public right-of-way area. So of course, you know, that if it is your private property, you have to spend your own money to mitigate your fire hazard. But like your property is abutting to public right-of-way, just anything like water infrastructure, or the you know, up in the Easter Cross area, you know, abutting to the or wooded area that is not owned by anyone, is probably owned by the city, or the probably owned by the county, or the probably owned by the Parks and Recreation Department, Strawstep Park, for example. So we spent $400,000 in last 2 years mitigate the fire hazard, and we believe that council will also allocate additional $400,000 for next 2 years to addressing the issue. So just wanted to add on to it.
Thank you for that, TK. I appreciate that. I know earlier this year, one of the things our neighborhood association did is we requested a
Joanna?
special meeting on the public's. Oh, I'm
I
sorry.
think, was it Emil?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Emil. Thank you.
You have to turn yourself off mute, Emil. You're on mute.
Forgot. Okay, am I live?
You're live.
Okay, my name again is Emil Bourdet. I came back to California after being away for 15, 16 years, and I spent those 15 years in New Mexico as a volunteer firefighter. And wildland fires is, I know my business in that. But what I'd like to see, Mike, is provide Joanna the websites and the information, things like the pulse point and the reference to Redwood City Fire information that can be sent out in an email to the people that are on your mailing list, because I don't know how many people, or not too many people are watching this right now, 15 or so, but we could share it with our neighbors. And I know, and as you know, Mike, that you got to have some clear space. And I live up on the Alameda, and to the west of me, there's a lot of burnable material there. Very dangerous place to be. And I know Redwood City Fire has gone through and suggested to owners of what to do. And if you have a neighbor that's not does not have a safe situation, please talk to them, because his house starts to burn, your chances of your house will burn as well. Just it gets too hot. So anyway, thank you.
Well, thank you for your service.
You're welcome.
15 years as a volunteer, you know, when I volunteer, you know, for some people it might be different, but so everybody knows, really the West Coast is the only place that is 97% paid firefighting. So being a volunteer in, let's say, you know, some state like New Mexico, that's the norm out there. So thank you for doing the job. Thank you for keeping people safe. And I appreciate your service. And you make some great points. We need to continue to educate our community about wildfires, about home safety and wildfire mitigation concerns, safety hazards. We have a constant contact page where we send out mailers via email information. I will make sure as a part of that page, I will send things out to the neighborhood associations. Actually, this month of May, we'll be sending out some wildfire information, and I'll make sure that that gets sent to you guys as well.
Thank you so much. So we will we'll put that, there's some information in the chat right now that with Pulse Point and the alerts, but I will make sure to put that on our website. We'll make sure that that's included in our blog. and we upload this video of our meeting and we put it on our website and we put it on YouTube. And so actually our reach tonight may be 15, but in actuality, between the next meeting, there'll probably be another 50 neighbors. And if they tell their neighbors, then that's how we share the message. So thank you so much for those suggestions.
Yeah.
Spread the word.
Yes, so I think my husband might have a question.
Not a question, Mike. And again, thank you for your service. I know people can't say it enough, but I'm going to say it to you. Thank you for your service. Can you just reiterate? I know I did this a lot, but to reiterate that it's okay to call you guys for any type of thing. If you see something wrong or you suspect something, that it's okay to call. I know a lot of people are hesitant to call when they think, I just smell smoke or I smell gas or something like that. But can you just reiterate that it's okay to call you guys and you guys will come out and check it out?
I mean, yeah, here's the reality to everybody. The only reason that I am here today is for you. It doesn't matter how silly your question is, how unsure you are about what you're seeing or what you're smelling or what you're hearing. My only existence is to protect you. I want you to pick up and if it's 10 times a day, your neighbor's barbecuing and 10 times a day you're concerned, well, I'm going to be out there 10 times a day. We are here for you. And just like you just said, do not hesitate at all. We are here. We want to respond. We want to stop the problem before it occurs. So please call us.
Tommy.
And can you put the sort of a non-emergency phone number somewhere? Where do we call? Is that somewhere handily available?
So here's what I'll tell you. If at any point you smell smoke or there's something that could potentially become a hazard, let's say it's a safety check, call 911 and they'll dispatch us accordingly, right? We don't have to come lights and sirens. Like just the other day, we were dispatched on a gasoline leak and it's called a safety check. So dispatch calls us, says, hey, engine 10 respond to 123, street for a safety check on a gasoline container leaking fuel. We'll respond, non-lights and sirens. We'll come in, we'll make contact, we'll mitigate the situation, but just call 911. Even if you call the non-emergency, line that you can find on the city website, if they think it's going to be an emergency, they're just going to tone us out regardless. So everything, no matter how you do it, we're still going to be the ones that respond through the 911 system.
Thank you. So what I was going to mention earlier is that one of the things that our neighborhood association did recently in the past year is we requested a special meeting from City Council to go over the public safety budget. Several months ago, we were very concerned. Wildfires are a serious threat in our neighborhood and in Canyon. And we were concerned when we heard that that there was a possibility that they would be reducing funds in the fire budget. And so that was something that I spoke up on, and that was something that our association collectively requested that meeting, and that meeting just took place on the 22nd of April. And it was a question and answer forum. There may be some folks on the call tonight who were there and present for that. But can you explain, I know this week probably has been the busiest week in quite a while, just from what I'm reading in the news about the Record Man and Woodside Road, U-Haul. But can you explain to us, you explained like what it takes, how many units it takes to go out, but can you explain what staffing is currently like? And can you tell us ways that we can help support our firefighters?
Right. I appreciate you asking that. So to answer this question, I think it's important to give everybody historical perspective, right? So if I take us the way back, I think before I was born, to like 1985. Sorry, I didn't mean to offend anybody, but in 1985 we had 4 fire stations in Redwood City, only 4, and the amount of people per day that we had was 20 firefighters. That's it. 20 firefighters for 4 stations. And the city, a year, we ran about 3,000 calls. Fast forward to 2012, before we took over San Carlos, we still had 20 firefighters on duty per day. We had 5 fire stations, and we ran about 6,500 calls. So we doubled our call volume, yet we maintained the number of people. Now, fast forward to today, 2020, we're running about, I think this year we're going to hit about 10,500 calls a year. We have 7 firehouses. We still have the 20 firefighters for Redwood City, and the additional 5 is what we get for the 2 San Carlos firehouses. So if you look at staffing, we've almost tripled the amount of calls we run per year, but the number of firefighters per firehouse on duty per day has not changed. So the staffing model that we're currently at has not really changed. So you bring up the budget concerns and what happened. This is kind of why the firefighters and the Firefighter Association kind of made their voices a little bit heard, because we had some concerns for citizens. You know, I'm going to give you a great story. This happened last week. I get kind of emotional talking about it because I have little ones at home, right? But we had just gone to bed and we get a call for a child choking, actively choking, right? In our like I get chills talking about it, right? My captain immediately looks at Pulse Point because it comes on his phone. So we had to call a tablet command. Hey, it's a child choking. We're out the door. I mean, I'm out the door before I can put all my clothes on, right? We respond, we assist the baby gets transported. We actually go to the hospital with the baby because of the nature of the call. But if that fire engine was not there, that means that that child would have to wait for a fire engine from another district, right? Seconds count. And I think some budget is discussed, or numbers, or the cost of something, I think we take the human emotion out of it. The reality is I'm here to protect you. I don't get a stipend for going on more calls or less calls. I get paid the same, and I love my job, but I don't think my conscience would allow me to say, like, and I get emotional, I don't think my conscience would allow me to say, you know what, close the firehouse, keep my wages, I'll be fine, because then you guys suffer. So that was with the ordeal that happened with the last cycle of budget. And that's why it's critical at our staffing levels. There's no fat to trim. One engine company is responsible for a whole district. So if we run a medical right now and someone else calls 911, that next come from somewhere, and then that engine comes somewhere. And let's say there's a fire or there's a medical. Now these things are depleted. So we don't really have a good backup system when things go back to back like that. And that was one of the major concerns of this last budget cycle.
Thank you.
Did that answer your question?
It did, and I appreciate you sharing that with us. And I hope that in some way we were, able to assist. And I hope you know that we will continue to advocate to make sure that we have the services we need. I know with my husband, when he worked for the police department, they often were working mandatory shifts. Everybody called in. Then you have court. So there's a lot of things that go into it that people don't see. But you mentioned your baby,
right,
and you're spending 24 hours at the firehouse away from your family, and I want you to know that we appreciate that. I know that Redwood City receives awards for outstanding, for being an outstanding fire department. What's your recent award that you guys got? It's like a national award. It's
it's called the ISO Class 1. So basically, and this actually is your guys' award. So based on your fire department, if you're a homeowner, if your fire department meets an ISO Class 1, it lowers your taxes, your insurance taxes. So because of the service that we're doing, we get this rating, And that rating basically tells the insurance company that you live in a safe area for the fire department. And so their ability to mitigate your costs gets lowered. I'm sure it's not more than a few bucks if I was an insurance agency, but it's more of a stamp of approval. And just so you guys know our schedules, so my normal schedule is a 48-hour shift. So I come to work for 2 days, and then I'm supposed to go home for 4 days, 96 hours. But like you said with your husband, Chris, if somebody calls in sick tomorrow, we can't close the firehouse. It has to be filled. So when you have, sick leave, you have leave, you have people on disability, we end up having, and you have the staffing levels that we have, where we're just 3 firefighters at one firehouse. We don't have 2 staff. You have to fill those seats. So in a daytime, we have about 7 or 8 people that are mandatory to stay on shift. So our shifts could last anywhere from 72 to 96 hours. So, and that's the way it works with the fire department. I know PD is a little bit different, because, with beats and how many cars are up, but for us, because there's no ambulance service in the city, it's a county thing. We can never close a firehouse.
Wow, thank you so much. I really appreciate everything you do. Thank you for being here. I hope you'll be willing to join us again. And
I would love to.
And I hope you'll share our appreciation and gratitude to everyone down at the firehouse, because we greatly appreciate what they do for us day in and day out. And
absolutely. Thank you for having me. Redwood City Firefighters at gmail.com is the webpage that I handle, or the email. If there's any concerns, if you want us to come talk to your associations, if your children are at schools and you want us to do visits, if you just want to ask us questions, if you want links to videos or anything at all, I want you guys to know that I don't want to be abstract to you. The firefighters do not want to be abstract to you. We are your family. We are here for you. If it's a silly question or it's a serious call, you're going to get us 24 hours a day. And I don't want you guys to shy away. When we're here and our doors are open, swing by, bring your kids. Let's keep this family tight. That's my goal.
thank you so much, Mike. I greatly appreciate
You're welcome.
it. Have a great night. I'm so glad that
Thank you so
got
much.
one call, so I'm glad you were able to make it back to join us. All right. Thanks.
Right. Thank you so much. You guys have a blessed day. Thank you.
You too. Take care. All right. So we went a little bit over on the agenda, but I think it was well worth it. We've always had police at our meetings, but we've never had our firefighters, and being that this is a key issue in our neighborhood, I didn't even realize about the insurance part of it. I know up here we're at the Russian River right now, and we have a volunteer fire department, and so our insurance here is crazy because of that. So next up on our agenda is neighborhood announcement and news. So I will go back to what we were talking about with the property taxes and the sewer. My concerns about the property tax and the sewer is the consequence of not being able to pay. That's my concern, and I intend to speak on Monday, but I'm hoping to get some feedback from all of you on whether or not I'll speak on behalf of the association or just myself. I'm concerned now if you're on a fixed income and you run behind on your utility bill, you can pay a late fee, or you can become delinquent, or maybe at the worst they'd shut you off, or I don't, that's the worst. But when we switch it over to the property tax, regardless of whether or not there may be a program in place to help you, you could end up losing your home. So, when you go into default, they can sell your property on the corner at an auction. And so I think the consequence, even though for most people, they say it's the same amount of money, it doesn't really impact me either way. There will be some people where the consequence is too great. And many of our homes in Redwood City are multi-generational homes. So maybe grandma bought them, right? And so now their children or their grandchildren live in them. And so falling behind on your taxes, you can only do it a couple times before you run the risk of losing maybe a home that's paid outright because of a sewer bill. So that's my concern. And so I'd like to hear your concerns and see if you share those or what your opinion is, because this is a consent calendar item, which is also concerning that it's going to be approved all in one shot with no discussion. And so I'd like to hear some feedback on what you guys think. And you can just go ahead and unmute and
Joanne, I agree. I didn't want to bring it up necessarily right in front of that, but that would be the concern that I have is shifting it to property taxes definitely carries more weight than an individual bill that comes from the city. That's why I was raising, like, is there an offset of like, oh, you can deduct it from your taxes, those things that is an incentive for people. But I agree. I think that there's a concern that, especially with people that over the last year or so, they might already be behind on their taxes. And if this gets lumped into it, then they'll be behind even further on their taxes. And it might create a situation that is untenable for the homeowners. So I think what they're going is that they want efficiency. They don't want to have people processing these bills 12 times a year. They want to do it 2 times a year, which I can understand the efficiency part of that. But yeah, you're switching it from a bill for a service to a property tax that has more implications on it. So I agree. I'd be a little concerned, and I didn't really get the answer of other than its efficiency that why they're moving it to the taxes. But it does feel like there is some punitive damage that may incur from this. So
thank you, James. I appreciate that. And Terrence is so nice and he works so hard. And I know this is not coming from Terrence. And that's why I felt it was best to discuss, together on what we felt, because I didn't want to make him feel uncomfortable because this certainly isn't his proposal. But my concern, especially if we're supposed to be looking at things through an equity lens, to put more consequences on people who may not have the ability to pay, is concerning. So is there anybody else who wants to share their opinion on this issue? Or would anybody be opposed to me speaking on behalf of the association against this switch?
I don't have a huge opinion on it, but I don't know, how do those feel who are in more of tenancy situations? I guess this is sort of switches the cost from the tenant to some extent to the landlord, or the and I assume, but again, since I don't have any rental properties, I'm really in a position to really have a huge opinion on that one. And
Well, I'm a
but
renter.
anyway.
I'm a renter, and from my perspective, it seems, like I pay for everything, and it would be nice to have that little break. And if I were renting a property up on Skyline, the homeowner would be responsible for the septic system, not me. And I feel like it's a logical step to do that, to take the burden off of me. I mean, I'm happy to pay for my water, which I use, and the garbage, which I, decide how much goes in there and stuff like that. But the sewer, seems to me it's logical to make it a homeowner expense.
Yeah, and I believe for the most part, I mean, I guess with our renters, it's not, but for the most part, it is an expense, a monthly expense. I think that Redwood has one of the highest sewer charges around. Like up here, I think we pay like $15, and I think Redwood Cities is somewhere like around 50. Is that correct? Do you know what it is, Leslie?
Our last bill, it was charged in March. So for 2 months, it was $170.88 per sewer.
Wow, that's a lot of money. So imagine times 12.
I was actually looking into that a couple of months ago from another discussion I had, and it's a relatively high rate because we have a very new sewage treatment plant on our system that was just built less than a decade ago. And so the bill is paying off the loans that were taken to finance that construction. And so other systems may not have that construction loan anymore. But I do share some of the concerns about the change from the I think it's bi-monthly billing, so it's only 6 times a year. I don't really see the point or the benefit of that change. It seems a little bit weird and probably not necessary.
Well, I get a benefit from it.
Well, but I mean, your rent is paying for your landlord's property taxes regardless. So if the property taxes go up, they could try to raise your rent on that account.
They could. I don't think they would, but yeah.
But I mean, that's property tax on a rental property passes through one way or the other, or else the landlord makes less profit.
So just for general principle, I think that typically when you make a change, there's always a cost. There are all sorts of processes that need to be changed. You hire a bunch of people, do whatever that you need to do. You need people to do estimation. If you have an existing process, it's typically a sort of efficient and planned out process. I don't know exactly. I have no clue what the impact would be in making this change. So there's a kind of argument. I have no opinion on one way or the other. I'm just throwing out some arguments that people might have.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think
Emil?
Yes, thank you. I think the city should continue to do the billing. They do the water and they do the other services. There's no advantage to the homeowner. And it complicates things as to when you have so many other items in your property tax bill, depending on where you live, there's a whole series of things. Another item that I see really only the advantage to the city simply by pushing that off to the county to bill. And it's all done automatically anyway by a machine. It's not a human that generates that. So that's my comment. Keep it the same.
Thank you. Does anybody else, Alicia, Rebecca, Keith, Sharon and Steve, anybody else want to make a comment before we go on to our next announcement?
This is Sharon. I just think it should be kept the way it is. I agree with, your thinking process on it.
Thank you. Keith, do you want to chime in, or Alicia, or Marcelene, Rebecca?
Hi, this is Alicia. I don't really have any comments on it. I hadn't really thought about it from the perspective of now if you were late on your property taxes, that ultimately it could be an issue of, the bank taking your house. So I am in complete favor of you going ahead on behalf of the association and saying this is not something that we agree with.
Okay, thank you. Keith, go ahead, Jane.
One thing, I mean, somebody like Harriet, I think she has a situation that's rental. It would be good that, I don't know if Harriet, if you're available, but you could be the other side of that story. So I think, Joanna, if you go in with kind of a majority of us, but I would hate to not, have you represent the majority, but then the minority is not being heard from.
Right.
Well, I don't feel strongly enough to do that. I mean,
Okay.
when I amortize it over the course of the year, I mean, I don't, you know, I can't imagine the situation where somebody's going to lose their house because they can't pay the sewer. They might lose their house because they're generally not paying their taxes. I mean, I was a homeowner for 33 years. I mean, so, you know, I've been there. Or no, more than that, for 37 years. So
Taxes are so high. I had somebody send me their tax bill when we were talking about this, and their taxes were $33,000 a year. 33,000. So maybe that other, you know, 800 or 1,000 is enough to push it over. Like you just can't do it. I mean, I don't know. It just feels like the consequence is so severe. You know, it just seems so severe. Keith, did you want to add anything? I know we're running over a little bit, but I want to make sure everybody's heard. No? Okay. All right. So next up, I want to let folks know that on Monday night, the City Council will be presenting their 2-year homeless initiative. And when we met with Terry Chin at our neighborhood leads meeting this week, she asked, when I asked how we could support her in her work, she, you know, she runs programs like Dignity on Wheels that provides mobile showers and laundry service for our homeless or unhoused residents. She asked, well, if you can get folks to come Monday night and speak out and speak in support of funding our homeless initiative, that would be helpful. So I wanted to share that with folks. And if you are inclined to help, you know, support that work, that very important work, we'd be grateful to if you'd lend your voice to that cause. And then, Chris, do you have an announcement you want to make?
Yeah, I'll keep it brief here. I just want to let everybody know May is Mental Health Month, as you can see by my beautiful background. We've been planning events for the last couple months, and we have over 50 events that talk about mental health and mental health issues. Our theme this year is Hope for Change, and that aligns with the state theme. And obviously, we all know that mental health issues have grown dramatically. I have a whole presentation here, but I'm not going to read it. I'm just going to scan it real quick. But with the pandemic, the amount of mental health cases have extremely gone up, especially with our youth and our kids. We have a whole bunch of events that you can attend online. I'll put the thing in the chat, but it's smchealth.org, Mental Health Month. There's over 50 events right now, and let's see, open mic, music, art, films, children's stories. There's even a pet one, speaker panels, and more. So we did a kickoff Saturday, May 1st with the Board of Supervisors. We did on Tuesday, and the commission has been going around to each city. I think we got 19 out of the 20 cities to proclaim that Mental Health Month is the month of May this year. And I will be at the City Council meeting Monday night to accept the proclamation for Redwood City. And so I just wanted, you know, everybody to just understand the importance about talking about mental health issues and try and reduce the stigma. So thank you.
Thanks, Chris. I appreciate that. That's fantastic. And I will put all of this on our blog. We have a new website that I created. So if there's any glitches, please forgive them because it was just me. And but we put out the blog and we put all kinds of information. We have everything from where you can get your COVID-19 vaccine to what's happening at City Council. We've also been, you may have heard about the family who lives in Friendly Acres. It was my niece's best friend. They met at Roosevelt School when they were in first grade, and they've been friends all these years. And they were hit by a drunk driver. And mom is still in Stanford ICU. She's not come out of it yet. Brother was just transferred up here to Kenwood into the, there's a brain injury clinic here, like it's a rehab center that's supposed to be the best in the state. And his other two sisters are still in the hospital, and this happened over a month ago. But the community has come through. We've raised over $132,000 for the family. Their mother came from Honduras, and she's a housekeeper. So when she doesn't work, she doesn't get paid. But our community has overwhelmingly, shared their prayers and their financial support. And Chris and I are committed to making sure that justice is followed through on the case. So I just wanted to, thank everybody who's helped there. And our website is www.farmhillneighborhood.com. We have a Facebook page, a Facebook group. We're on Nextdoor, and we're doing our best to get the word out. So we also have a YouTube channel. So this will go out, the meeting will go out probably tomorrow on YouTube. And that's all I've got. But is there anything else? I mean, we haven't done open forum. So is there anything that anyone would like to bring up or talk about, or issues that you'd like to see us work on between now and our next meeting?
Just a question, when will we be having this one in person next?
I know, I'm not really sure. The PCC has a new person in charge of their facilities. And so I'm hoping we can get our spot back. I guess we'll probably transition once our boards and commissions and council meetings. It seems like we're able to really reach people, and you can just, instead of, getting ready, arrange childcare, whatever works, and what you have to do in your family, you can just click on, and it allows us to record the meeting as it happens. So I guess we'll, maybe in July, our next meeting, we'll go back to Thursday, but we'll maybe we can talk about it then, how folks feel, because I do think it's important for us to see one another. So maybe we can do sort of a hybrid in between, so we get to see each other and we can still, make sure that we can get as many people as possible. So maybe fall, does that sound? Yeah, that's probably a reasonable expectation. So anybody else have anything to share?
Joanna, I just wanted to thank you for letting us know about the mental health event, the virtual one last Saturday. I just happened to have looked at it on my phone and was able to join, and it was enjoyable. So thanks again.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that feedback. It's really important that, on my commission that, unfortunately teen suicide is way up right now in San Mateo County. And so everything we can do to, offer support to our the kids and parents and caregivers and grandparents. We're all in this together. And so I'm glad that was helpful. Anything else?
Joanna, this is James. I really appreciate the Public Works being here, because I think that's, something that impacts a lot of residents, no matter what, their day-to-day lives, and understanding how to get certain things done, and that it'd be great if we had those things and maybe other services of Redwood City to come in, just to give some context to what they do, but also how do we reach them, what services are provided, and really give people a firsthand knowledge of that. The other thing is I like the idea of meeting again together, trying to get out of the house and seeing people. Is there one of the ideas I had was, maybe some of the meetings we could have almost like a neighborhood walk, where we actually walk the different neighborhoods, with the meeting, and we could talk, and we can actually walk at the same time, and that gets us out, but also helps us explore the neighborhoods that are represented in here. So
I like that idea. That's great. I really like that idea. Thank you. Thank you for bringing that up. And does anyone have any suggestions on who I should bring in next time? So we've had Brianna, the new equity person for the city. We've had now Terrence and firefighter and police. Should we get Chris Beth in here? Maybe should we ask Chris from Park and Rec to join us? Or maybe someone from planning to explain how things work down there, or maybe economic development. What are you looking for? Who should I email tomorrow and say, hey, can you make it in July?
I think Tommy was saying planning department. I like that idea too. I like the Parks and Rec, because unfortunately, I think that's one of the things that people are starting to go back out to the parks, and they may or may not have been as maintained, or they might find issues. So that would be good to understand what's going on, and then as well as, what can we do to help them identify issues and keep the park safe.
Thank you. I see your comment now in the chat, Tommy. Thank you so much. So we are looking for a co-chair. Ben Packer's been with us for 2 years, and his term is up. So if anyone is interested in joining, or if you have a teenager who's going to be applying to college in the next few years and would like to participate in any way, send them my way. I'm happy to help them and, show them the ropes and get them involved in what we're doing here, because a lot of what we do is for them. So I think with that, we will close and we will see you back again in July. Keith, did you have something you wanted to share? No. Okay. All right. So look for the blog post tomorrow, farmhillneighborhood.com. And thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Take care.
Thank you,
Good
Johanna.
night.
Thank you. Bye.
Everybody.
Bye.